Do 4D, fourth dimensional entities, beings exist? So to answer this question, first of all, I need to explain all the different dimensions. Got my pencil and paper. So first of all, you have the first dimension. Straight line. See that? Not perfectly straight, but you know what I mean. That is length. That's the first dimension. If I draw a square, that's the second dimension. Length and width. Now give me a sec, my drawing skills aren't the best. I'm also... This, though it's drawn in 2D, is a 3D object. Terrible drawing, you get the idea. Length, width, depth. Those are the main dimensions. Now, what's the fourth dimension? We technically don't know because we can't perceive the fourth dimension, but many theorise the fourth dimension is simply a representation of time, and it may not be a physical thing. Like we see time as like the fourth dimension, basically, the fourth measurement. And to really understand how 4D entities might be possible, we have to explain how we perceive things. So, despite the fact we're 3D, we only perceive in the second dimension. When we look at something, we only see it as 2D. We know it's 3D because of light refraction, and we can touch it, turn it around, see it's got depth, but we only see it in 2D. Because if we saw things in 3D, we'd be able to see all sides of it once and the inside of it. So if a fourth dimensional being exists and it looked at a human, it'd be able to see it, like let's say a fourth dimensional being looks at me from the front. It'd still be able to see the back of me, the top of me, the bottom of me. It'd be able to see the inside of me, all my organs and everything all at once. So take a 2D, for example. Let's say I draw a 2D man. This right here is a 2D man. I can see all of him, can't I? I can see every single part and angle of this 2D man at once, because I'm 3D. Now I've drawn some little random organs in him. Again, I can see the inside of him, the actual inside of him, because I'm 3D. That's the same with a fourth dimensional being, if they exist. And another thing, I know he's not real, he's just drawing. Let's pretend this 2D man is real. He can only perceive in the first dimension. If I draw 2D circle and he looked at it, he wouldn't be able to see the whole circle. We can because we're 3D. He'd only be able to see one side of it. He'd just see a line. That's all he'd see. He wouldn't see the whole circle. So a 2D person could not perceive a 3D person because they can't even perceive 2D. They perceive in one dimension, just like how we only perceive in 2 dimensions. Like we only perceive the second dimension despite the fact we're 3D. It's the same with a 4-dimensional entity. We would not know if 4th-dimensional entities exist. We can't perceive one because we're only 3-dimensional. A 4th-dimensional being can perceive 3-dimensional beings in all 3 dimensions. Now back to the theory of the 4th dimension being time. If a 4th-dimensional entity does exist, it'd be able to see us, at least theoretically, in past, present and future all at once. All timelines, all everything, all at once. And see us in our entirety. Like a 4th-dimensional being right now could be looking through all my organs. I would have no idea because I can't perceive it. Again, we don't know what a 4th-dimensional object would look like. We theoretically do. It's called the Tesseract. If I remember, I'll pop an image up because I can't draw one. If I can't remember, just Google Tesseract image. And no, I'm not on about the thing from Marvel. That is what a 4th-dimensional object would kind of look like. I say kind of because, again, it's not what it looked like because we can't perceive how a 4th-dimensional object looked like. But it's a 3D representation of what a 4th-dimensional object, in theory, would look like. Is essentially the closest we have. So, now to 4th-dimensional entities, if they exist. So, I've never believed in God. I've never been religious. But let's just pretend for a second gods are real, or the idea of gods. What if a 4th-dimensional entity is essentially what a god is? Do you think what a god is and what a 4th-dimensional entity in theory would be? A god is something that interacts with all of us, but we can't interact with it. It sees all of us all at once, but we can't see it at all. That is exactly what a 4th-dimensional entity would be if it existed. A 4th-dimensional entity is essentially how we describe deities. They're both basically the same. So if gods did exist, they're essentially what a 4th-dimensional being would be. And the other way around, a 4th-dimensional being to us would essentially be a god, because they could just play around with us. Like, again, me with this little man. I know he's not actually sentient, but let's pretend he is. I'm essentially a god to him. He can't see me, I can see him. I can interact with him, he can't interact with me. Look at me. I'm going to do some god stuff. Boom, I just scribbled him out. You know? maybe a fourth dimensional entity could do that to us if they exist, if gods exist. I've never really believed in gods, but again, maybe the idea of gods came from fourth dimensional entities. You know, it's like some people say a lot of religion actually has some science behind it, and maybe this is why it actually somewhat makes sense in a way. And it ties into a lot of other conspiracy theories. So if you've ever heard of the Great Filter, the idea is that the reason why life on other planets have never connected is because when we reach a certain point, we just end. We get ended, or we self-destruct ourselves slowly without realising it until it's too late, which is why we can never hit that advancement to travel and connect with other planetary species. What if that's quote-unquote divine intervention, or in this case, fourth dimensional intervention? What if fourth dimensional beings are the reason we have the Great Filter? They prevent us from doing that. Or the dark forest theory, so pretend space is like a dark forest full of predators. The instant something makes a noise, the predators will go on it and kill it. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe the equivalent of making noise in the dark forest is in space, like a planet of alien species building the technological advancement to then travel and connect with other alien species. What if fourth dimensional beings prevent that from ever happening? Like, this alien species makes the noise, so the fourth dimensional beings, in this case the predator in the dark forest, kills it. Or, there's one more, or the simulation theory. So, a fourth dimensional, okay, think of two-dimensional beings. We're playing a video game, two-dimensional. We control them, we know their lives and everything, and they don't know. What if we're almost the same? Maybe we're not video game characters, but what if we're all just things being watched by fourth dimensional beings? We could be video games, not in the sense of like just being programmed, but like, well, fourth dimensional beings, again, like, they can see us, we can't see them, maybe they control us without us knowing. Again, it's kind of like a god. Again, like, it's not fully connected, but you can somewhat look at the lines and think, you know, maybe fourth dimensional beings have something to do with these other conspiracy theories. The simulation one might be slightly more of a reach, but again, I'm just thinking how we interact with 2D things freely, and fourth dimensional beings could interact with us freely and us not know. Almost like how a simulation would work if we were video game characters being played by fourth dimensional beings. So, do fourth dimensional beings exist? We don't know. And as far as technology tells us and our knowledge of everything, we will never know, because we can't perceive, we can't even imagine what that even looked like. So we'll probably never know. But the idea of them is possible. In theory, they could be real. And that's the same with two-dimensional beings, I suppose. Like, we could have dimensional beings for anything we wouldn't know. And obviously, we talk about fourth dimension just because it's easiest to explain. We could have fifth dimension beings, sixth. For all we know, there's an infinite amount of dimensions. For all we know, it caps at 4. For all we know, it caps at 3. Like, that's the thing. It's such an interesting theory. Yeah, hang on, give me a sec. Sorry, I accidentally just ended the video without realising it. I meant to just pause it. I was just checking something. Yeah, that's about all I have to discuss with it, really. So, though I'm sorry, maybe I baited you the title. Do they exist? I mean, I feel like you should know. We don't know. It's hypothetical. Do I think they exist? I honestly have no idea. Because none of us have any idea. They could exist and we'd never know. I see no reason why they can't and shouldn't exist, but there's also no reason why they do, if you know what I mean. Same with, like, gods, I suppose. Like, the idea of a god, we can't see one. They don't interact with, well, they do, but we can't interact with them. So, though I've never believed in God myself, it's technically not something that's provable. That's the thing. Like, you just don't know, so you just got to make your own belief. And I believe that when you think about it, a god is essentially a representation of how a fourth dimensional being would be, or just a general higher dimensional being, which I find quite interesting. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learnt something. And yeah, see you.